Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our third and final set of the day. We're going to have OGI BOGIES taking on ZIDANE here for our final matchup. My name is J-Mac, with me, Mifflin, as we get ready to jump into this game and kind of dive in about these two teams a little bit here. But we're coming to the end of day number 2. We've seen a lot of kind of shines of old as far as concerned as what the meta is when we had the SPL qualifiers. A lot of that really kind of staying true here in these SCC qualifiers. Even with a lot of the changes that we've had towards 9.2 specifically that they're playing on, we haven't really seen a whole lot of things changing so much yet, Mifflin.
No, I mean, have we seen that many patches even between the SPL plans and now? I think maybe we've had like one patch and like one bonus balance, if anything. So I'm expecting things to remain the same. I'm not expecting any wild shift-ups, but maybe. I mean, we've got some relatively unknown players in this set, so maybe we've got some relatively unknown strategies coming our way.
Who knows what we'll see in our final set of the day. OGI BOGIES versus ZIDANE will be our fourth and final match of the schedule here for today. We'll have more EU play tomorrow. On Saturday, we get to start the day with Belt Slap as one of our first teams coming out here, a classic team here in the EU SCC, and a look at the bracket just to see the path that all these teams will have to travel, win or lose. For the ones on the winner side of the bracket right now, Team Bisco, Just F6, and Team Copyright, well, they're all just one win away from qualifying into the EU SCC. If they lose, though, they've got a much longer path to take.
Yeah, maybe winning is better. I'm going to go out on a limb. Maybe winning
You think so?
just superior.
I don't know. Do you really think it's that much better?
Yeah, okay. I'm willing to hear some counter-arguments, J-Mac.
No, I was just... No, you know what? No, winning is better.
All right, thanks.
It is just better. Well, in this case, you also have to play less games, which is always nice. You don't have to
Well, I like
fight.
playing a lot of Smite.
Well, playing a
personally.
lot of Smite is great, but
Personally.
having to play a lot of Smite with the fact that if you lose 2 of those games, then you don't get to play at this top, this top level of the amateur play, at least for a split, and that's
I don't know,
not
might
as
be
great.
worth. Smite's super fun.
Smite is a lot of fun, but then you gotta go down to the SOC to try and fight your way towards SCC later down the road. But talking about our 2 teams that we have for our final matchup here, ZIDANE will be the first one to kind of go in. It's got a couple of very familiar names here, Picarino and Calvin, making their return here in the SCC with some new teammates around them. And I think kind of going on to Calvin, he's one of the standout players I see on this team specifically in that support role. Had a really strong performance over in Season 8.
Yeah, Calvin has continually impressed year in and year out, man. This guy has been very adept at kind of shifting up his own style, kind of adapting to these metas. He's got that traditional, can play the Kepris, can play the Gebs of the world. I also associate Calvin with these more aggressive picks, things like the Fenrir. Even a while back, I remember seeing his Hercules very dominant. But, J-Mac, you didn't call out all of ZZ. I'm not going to say their whole names.
Not all of them.
Do you
yet.
want to list off the rest of the team?
Yeah, we got Soul Laner Ugly One, we got the French Emperor in the jungle, and then Delta over in the
Who is that Soul
ADC
Laner?
role.
Who's the Soul Laner again?
Ugly One. That's
Got
his
it.
name. That's his name. I'm not trying to say anything about him. That is
It doesn't
just
say
the name.
Ugly One where I'm reading.
It says Ugly One.
That
The
is
number
messed up.
1. The
You
number 1 right there.
Just keep saying it. Okay.
It's what's provided to me on my screen,
I'm
Mifflin.
sure. Yeah, I mean, we have the same screen. Mine says David, so.
I don't know what screen you're looking at there, necessarily.
He is frantically searching his laptop now, chat. So anyway, this is a squad that has got some name recognition behind it, and I think one that we can have relatively high expectations for going forward because of the veteran leadership of Picarino and Calvin. Sure enough, French Emperor, not a guy we've seen too much. Neither is Delta, or as JMX decided to coin, Ugly One.
No, that's Soul Laner. What are you on about? And it's actually not going to be Delta. It will be Skills subbing in for Delta over in the carry role, so we get to see what they bring in as their backup here over into that carry position. They're going to be going against OGI BOGIES here, a team that is a little bit less known as far as it goes. Yakin is one of the big names that kind of stands out to me among this team over in the support role. Maybe it's just because I'm a support player, so I always really pay attention to the support players in general on here. But the rest of this team with OGI BOGIES, I've got OGI Bree, Phantomu, Hedgehog, who's actually going to be replaced by Winnie the Pooh 7 this time around.
Sick.
And then Yakin and Christopher Robin 7 as well. So a little bit of synergy with the 7s at the very least.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't call out Christopher Robin. That's the one I've got the most like name recognition for. He's from like the 100-acre woods, I think.
Something
or
like
1,000-acre woods. I don't know.
Either way, it's some
acres of wood.
That's some acreage of woods out there. But this is a tall team that they're going to have to go up against with ZIDANE here. I mean, Picarino and Calvin specifically have had a lot of named presence in the SCC. We'll see how it goes here in picks and bans for game number 1 between OGI BOGIES, and we'll go and shorten it to ZZ. It does make it a little bit easier to kind of roll off the tongue there.
You're going to steal my thing, man?
I'm not going to steal, I'm going to borrow it.
Okay, well, when do I get it back?
Right now, if you want to.
All right, never say it again.
Oh, just like that, I don't get to say it ever again.
Yeah, it's mine.
All right, you know what? I'll just stick to calling them ZINDINE then. So ZINDINE, their first ban is going to be Fenrir. Tiamat on the other side for OGI BOGIES. And Tiamat is a god that kind of coming into Season 9, we didn't see a whole lot of during that SPL qualifier. She was kind of on the back burner for a lot of teams. It was when the Thoughts, the Agnis, Persephones were all being banned away. But over here in the EU region specifically, Tiamat has been a top pick for a lot of these teams.
She still is incredibly strong. I don't think that she's fallen off all that much. If anything, between worlds, like the actual world championship, she's probably gotten stronger since then. Just the fact that she's been outshined by some of these other picks are why we're seeing her less prioritized over in North America. But if Europe's been having a lot of success with this pick, I'm not going to argue against it. She still has phenomenal lane presence. She's got great scaling in the late game, very versatile with the bipedal and quadrupedal stance, giving her a little bit additional survivability in these fights, as well as just CC immunity in the kit. Pretty hard to argue against that.
It will be a dodgy Bastet banned alongside that Tiamat for OGI BOGIES. ZINDINE will take away Kleedna, MC, and Fenrir. It'll be an Izanami first pick, who has been a hunter that has been rising up the ranks as far as priority is concerned. If you want to get pressure in that dual lane, which has been the name of the game as far as Season 9 is concerned, getting that obelisk pressure potentially early on, making sure that you can take away that heartbeat camp on that side of the map. And Izanami is probably one of the best gods to do so because she doesn't have to really expend anything to clear those waves out.
Now, here's the thing about how if every single one of your auto attacks hits every single minion every single time, you're probably going to out-clear the other team. That's probably how it's going to go down. That's what makes Izanami so strong, the amount of pressure she's able to establish, generally for free in the lane. It's a lot of kill pressure as well with that ultimate. It means that we're probably going to see a lot of this god until the next bonus balance patch goes live. I think she had a couple nerfs.
Yeah, she, I think, like a little bit of base damage and maybe some attack speed, something alongside that. But Medusa Cabrakan, and I kind of want to talk about Cabrakan more of these two picks than anything, because this seems to be one of the most flexible gods of Season 9 specifically. We saw a lot of him in solo lane in Season 8. We've seen a little bit of solo here in Season 9 with him, but mostly it's been jungle, and even support has been a rising rank for this god.
Yeah, he's very versatile. I mean, you could go for that full damage style in the jungle where you become this one-shot monster. You're always trading out your life for at least one other high-priority target, hopefully high-priority target. Or you take him into the solo lane and go for a bruiser build. You get a little bit of best of both worlds. But as you said, support generally where we've been seeing him recently, and he's got a lot of lockdown. Man spawns walls in like a sea around you. It's very hard to escape. Phenomenal wave clear. Has great peel in the lane up against the 2v2. So Cabrakan, a pick that I'm expecting to see a lot of going forward, and for good reason, man. He's just so versatile.
It seems to be a great pick out here, and even with like the Stone of Binding that's gotten a nice little bit of a buff there, that seems to be a token item for this god right now. But Thoth and Olaron going to be the bans from OGI BOGIES. ZINDINE will take away Kali and Thanatos. That's an interesting one here. Gotta imagine those are a couple of respect bans towards the side of OGI BOGIES. That does leave Agni up, which is interesting to see that Agni has made it all the way to a 4th pick on the side of ZINDINE. And something about these EU players and Zeus and Thor specifically, I should say, not Zeus. I mean, Zeus, we know why he's good, but for some reason, these EU guys really love this Thor pick.
Well, we're going to get this chance to see why, I'm hoping, this game, right? Or it's just not going to work out. Remember, 2 sets ago, we saw Thor banned out pretty consistently up against, who was it who was banning it out? I believe it was...
They were banning, it was just F6 banning away against Radical Rodents.
Yeah, Radical Rodents' Thor is something, the stuff of legend, so we had to avoid that one. And, well, OGI BOGIES probably scrimmed them and now have Thor themselves. He's got global presence. He's got decent poke. He's got the ability to lock down lanes in the jungle with that wall. But it's not the most burst. It's not the most lockdown. He's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none right now.
We'll see how this Thor pick can work out for OGI BOGIES as we hop into game number 1. We also had a Jormungandr as the final pick here for ZINDINE, so we'll see how that one pans out in the solo lane. Up against that Amaterasu. We saw the Jormungandr come in the last set. Had some varying success out there. But Jormungandr, a god that kind of fluctuates in and out of metas. At one point, he was the god to go to, and then nobody was touching him. And now it seems that he's kind of sneaking his way back in. The first item after his starter, maybe the more surprising one, but this Gilded Arrow seems to be just the starter item to go for this god right now.
If you're not getting Gilded Arrow on Jormungandr, you're just not clearing waves very well, it seems like. It really helps out a lot with his unique auto attacks to finish off some of these waves. It makes it very easy to control Totem of Ku as well. But Lost Artifact? Not exactly what I was expecting to see. I'm very curious to see which way he itemizes with that. If I had to guess, Chronos Pendant, maybe. Generally, when we see Jormungandr locked in, it's like a Breastplate of Valor in that first slot, so you're at least still getting the CDR from Chronos, maybe?
If this is Chronos Pendant, is this like a Mogao name change? Because he's the only person I know in this world, in this competitive scene, who would ever rush a Chronos Pendant on his Guardian solos.
No, Mogao's going Bancross first. Every time.
I think that was just on his Kabrakans he was doing that. Most of the time, like with
It's
his
like all he played.
like his
Whoa,
his
whoa,
Kumba. Hold on about any of that though. Winnie the Pooh 7 strikes first for the OGI Bogies in the mid lane, taking down Pikarinu, who falls for first blood.
Yeah, Thor smacks, it would seem. Here's the thing about Thor. Double tap hammer still does a lot of damage. It's going to be pretty hard to land at certain portions of the game, especially considering Mans did not have the wall there. Just tosses out at the Agni freehand, and it works out. But if that's what we're picking Thor for, that's one of his strongest portions of the game. Levels 1 through 3, very powerful for this pick.
We get to see some of the reason why Kabrakan has been such a potent pick in the support role is this Tremor right here. Yakin has to take forever to get out of there. Eats 4, maybe even 5 ticks. A dash in. The root after may have been all that saves Yakin's life there. Some decent body blocks by Christopher right after to make sure that those autos don't connect through. But those Tremors from Kabrakan, a dangerous combo in the early game.
They really are. I mean, it might as well just be a horrific emblem early on. It's so hard to walk out of. It's going to eat your escape every time.
That's going to be the dash from Yakin, and then a blink in from French Emperor to secure a first kill for ZINDINE. This time around, Yakin does not get to make it out. Christopher Robin has nothing to do but sit by and watch as his support falls down off a very early level 3 rotation from French Emperor.
Has France ever had an emperor? I feel like that's more of like a Roman thing, or like, I don't know, an Asiatic thing.
I don't think it would be Emperor. It would have been King, if anything.
Yeah, well, there's definitely kings of France. Like,
right.
Yeah, Louis.
Yeah, I mean, there's been kings, but I don't know about Emperor specifically.
I hope one was named Louis. I feel like I'm not making that up, but I'm hoping that's the case. So anyway,
look, all I'm saying is history class was a long time ago, and I'm sorry to say to all the fans out there is I am not as well versed in French history as I should be.
Yeah, that's on you. Calvin getting aggressive in the duo lane yet again. Jockin, just not a lot of play here, like at all. Oh, this just in from production. Napoleon was an emperor. That's crazy.
I didn't think he was titled Emperor.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I had
like
no clue.
I knew about Napoleon Bonaparte, but I didn't think.
You mean Dynamite?
Emperor? No,
You're sounding so ignorant right now.
Did you just say Napoleon Dynamite at me?
Yeah, you were sounding so.
That was a great
ignorant.
movie.
Yeah, about the Emperor.
It's gonna be a whole set like this, isn't it, Mifflin? As we jump in here, 3 minutes into the game, 1-1 on the board. Gold dead even, despite that first blood going over to OGI Bogies. They're able to pull themselves back in with some of that great farm play. Mid lane, no, Winnie the Pooh. You may have struck first earlier on. A dunk in from Phantom who misses, and so does the double tap. But the spin afterward is enough to get it. A little off the mark to start that one there, but able to close out that kill.
Hey, no problem. When Napoleon's ahead of you, you gotta finish him off, and Phantomu very successful in doing so. It's Calvin re-aggressing after the abduct from Jockin, and rightfully so. Kepri's stuck.
Yeah, there's no getting out of there. You know, back before the whole change to boots throughout, it was before they get boots, Kabrak and Tremor might as well just root them in place at that point there. Well, still no boots, and you don't have your levels fully just yet for that movement speed. Might as well be the same thing.
But that was OGI Bogies making the decision to get aggressive around ZZ's purple buff in the dual lane, and comes back to bite him. It was an early level lead for the Kepri, level 4 for Jockin to Calvin's level 3, but in losing his life for the second time, allows Calvin to catch himself right back up.
Ugly will put a little bit of damage against Ogre here in the solo lane on that Jormungandr. Is rushing towards potentially what might be that Chronos pendant, so we'll see if that ends up going through for him at the end. I mean, I gotta imagine, I don't see why you would rush Rod of Tahuti.
It's like a lot of power.
I mean, it is a lot of power.
It's like MP5.
I guess maybe you can also benefit from like the meteor of the Calamitous Rod. If you can get the knockup right after, it'll lock them in place for the extra damage.
Talk yourself
maybe
into it, man. There you
I don't
go.
know. Maybe I'm a believer here. We'll have to see how this game goes. See if I'm truly a believer of this early lost artifact rush Jormungandr. So far, we've at least seen the damage you can put out. Let's see how it goes the rest of the game, though.
Yeah, Ogi on the other side, the Amaterasu, is putting a lot of respect on this Jormungandr early on. Generally, you just rush Berserker Shield regardless of what you're laning against, but instead going down the Kusari tree, maybe worried about some of that survivability. I mean, Yorm's going to have a lot of power, I suppose, with Restored Artifact already. Gilded Arrow going to help him out a lot in the auto trade, so maybe this Amaterasu is just concerned about her ability to stick around in the lane.
Potentially so. thought maybe the Yorm was going to go back to base for a moment, but he'll hold off for now. The red buff going down so that way Winnie the Pooh can get his extra damage online. It is a very early Divine Ruin rush, however. Probably the more interesting of the ones. I mean, not a whole lot of innate healing on this team. No lifesteal built up for many of these teams just yet. I guess the reflect healing that comes from Nemesis's shield, but I feel like Divine Ruin is such
Gotta stop that.
Yeah, I feel like Divine Ruin first compared to Spear of Desolation seems a little off here, Mifflin.
If I had to guess, Winnie the Pooh 7 went back to base and could afford Divine Ruin and could not afford Spear of Desolation, and that kind of just made the decision for him. It's basic economics, if you would.
Yeah, potentially so here. 3v3 grouping in mid. I want a pincer maneuver here for ZINDINE, but Ogie Bogies will just need a couple of bombs here. That one off the mark, so Phantom will be able to walk away from there. Calvin on this Cabrakan already has his Gauntlet of Thebes going and stacking up. Meanwhile, Yakin hasn't had the chance to go back to base and pick his up at the moment. So it could be some time before we see those big protections come online for this Khepri.
Yeah, well, he's at least got death immunity built into the kit, as well as some HP shielding, so still can get involved early on, but the sooner you can start stacking up, the better for whoever needs him.
1v1 boxing match between the Hunters, but now it's a 2v1 with Phantom dunking himself right in. Christopher does get the credit for the last hit of the kill, and that one will go over his way for Ogie Bogies. Winnie the Pooh, though, eating a lot of damage from these bombs out of Picorino. It can never be a true 1v1, can it? You know, junglers just got to come ruin the fun.
Okay, well, here's the thing, man. Junglers need to do that, or you lose the 1v1 and you're complaining at us every single time, so props to Phantomu for getting ahead of the ball, making sure that he isn't getting roasted by his squad in a phenomenal kind of rotation, utilizing that semi-global ultimate from Thor, the Anvil of Dawn, to maneuver the map, make sure his presence is known. It is worth noting that we've seen a lot of attempted ganks from Phantomu. We've seen a lot of involvement from him on the map. Still remaining even with 2 and 1. French Emperor on the other side, both junglers sitting comfortably at level 9. Maybe more interesting, though, Phantomu's build, maybe a Runeforged in that second slot? Curious. I hope it's not Frostbound.
I hope it's not Frostbound, because that would be not so great. I mean, I gotta imagine if he's
cool.
I mean, if you're really wanting to go into that strong auto Thor, potentially, I guess. I mean, you just don't want them to run any faster. I don't know, man. I think Runeforge is probably the better call, but I'm not the one out there on the battlefield, am I?
No, we're out here on the caster desk talking about them, you know? Look, Runeforge synergizes really well with Thor. For those of you not in the know, Runeforge applies additional damage to anyone CC'd, just like that.
Calvin will be pulled back, at least for a little while. Up in the sky now, Phantom looking for a dunk target. Will it be Calvin and Picorino? No, it doesn't seem that it will be both. Instead, it'll just be Calvin, who split himself off. Double tap. Second hit of it just misses. A very early rise Khepri's ultimate, just to make sure that Phantom can stay alive if needed. But the damage from Picorino is enough to make it a 2-for-2 trade so far. Ugly One trying to zone out and at least keep eyes on Phantom while French Emperor will chase him down. Just needs a couple more seconds for that hammer to come online. Good wall. Holds for the time being. And I think he caught the first end of that dash from French Emperor, too. Didn't see the second one pop out.
No, he got the second one out there. Just doesn't have quite as much range as the hammer from Phantomu, and that should spell the end of that chase. At least able to pick up a blue buff in exchange, much to Ogie's dismay. I'm sure Amaterasu has been getting the worst end of these soul lanes all day today in the European SCC. Ugly One sitting at a comfortable, maybe half-level lead over this Amaterasu, despite Ogie rotating out first and making her presence known on the map. Get to check back in with that Jormungandr. It is Chronos Pendant in the first slot. A little bit of additional CDR, going to give you a whole lot of survivability because that ultimate, the World Serpent, makes you intangible for what feels like a half hour. Going to be very frustrating for Phantomu if he decides to rotate over towards the soul lane, or anyone else who tries to shut down this Yorm.
And Mogao has really been having a hand in as far as these solo lane builds get concerned out here. A lot of influence for these solo laners and rushing out. I don't know, man. I've never tried myself to run a Chronos Pendant Yorm solo. I've definitely done Gilded Arrow. That's never been out of question there, but we'll see how this Chronos Pendant pans out for Ugly One as the game goes on. So far, 0-0-2, and then a high to the earth. This really does just feel like he took a page out of Mogao's book, because this is an item that Mogao really loved.
All right, well, you don't got to expose him, man. It might be a name change. I don't know. Could be. I doubt it. The Ugly One's popping off right now. Not to say that Mogao doesn't. He certainly does. Shouts Mogao if you're listening right now. Look, High to the Urchin early on tells me that he is trying to rotate towards team fights as quickly as possible. You don't get value from this item until you stack it up, and you only stack it by getting assists or kills onto enemy gods. So picking it up this early means that you've got a lot of time, a lot of opportunities, but so far we haven't seen Ugly One rotating too much.
He came into that one mid lane fight, that's it so far. Now he gets to be a part of another one. Big damage onto Winnie the Pooh, nowhere to go. A good Scare's Blessing to bring him back into the fight, but he gets put right back down in the dirt. As Picarino picks up another one, Phantomu able to get one kill in the fight. But now it's Ogre on the run as French Emperor chases them down as far as they can. Calvin gets a nice stun against Ogre. The wall, though, puts Ogre in the worst position possible. Stuck between the wall and the Cabrakan Tremors. Nowhere to go for the solo.
An Ugly One makes his first rotation with Urchin and immediately hits Pay Dirt as Skills, the sub for this squad, in some trouble here. 3 levels down on Christopher Robin 7, and well, down 90% of his HP bar on Christopher Robin 7 as well. This Medusa playing with fire. I'm surprised to see him even step up this far.
Yeah, still wants to make sure to get that wave at the least, but maybe knowing that Phantomu's ultimate is down is enough for this Hunter to stay in the lane. Phantomu, though, eating a lot of damage. 3 rotating over from ZINDINE, even Ugly One rotating this far over just to be a part of its action. Trying to get some of those extra Urchin stacks online, be as aggressive early on as they can. We'll see what they go into with their next item here. The good news is, though, Mifflin, I can't confirm that it's not Mogao, because Mogao is playing in this tournament under Team Bisco, but Gold Fury taken by OGI. A nice little turnaround after the not-so-great fight on that right side of the map. They're at least able to get something for their troubles.
The pace of this game is giving me legitimate whiplash. I feel like one team wins a fight, immediately resets, the other team steps up, wins their own engagement, they lose a fight, they back up to an objective anyway, and it's working out for them, and it's reflected in the charts. That is a up and down match, a game of peaks and valleys for both of these squads.
Christopher Robin takes some damage from the ultimate out of Skills, but Skills doesn't have the backup that Christopher Robin has here. Yakin rotates over, and that Rising Dawn gets a kill. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, Picarino gets one on Winnie the Pooh. Phantomu jumps in, trying to secure that kill on the Calvin, but he needs a little bit more. Will find it with that hammer toss and teleports in for a fancy double kill over Picarino. Now the question is, can Phantomu make it out? Needs a couple of cooldowns to come up. The hammer is there. The wall is available. How will he use it to get himself out? Places it and leaves Ogre behind, but Ogre is fine. Nice and tanky on this Amaterasu.
Going to force out the beads from this Nemesis as well. French Ember not going to get credit for the kill and also going to lose out on that defensive relic. Phenomenal play from the Thor. Well placed on the hammer to finish off Calvin. Teleports in, and one auto attack is all it took to finish off Picarino. And this is the relative strength of Thor. This is why we're seeing it banned out in the European SCC. 4-0-4, 8 out of 9 kills participated in for his team. Undying so far, and it was the Rune-Forged Hammer. So when he lands his ultimate, little known fact about Thor, he had a minor change to him recently, where he now has Chain Lightning when he lands with his ult. He's also going to benefit from the additional CC damage from Rune-Forged. Arendite going to make him faster as well. This guy is landing with an Anvil of Dawn and either thriving or dying immediately afterward.
A lot of all-in commit, as is such for most Thor gameplay. Pincer maneuver from Phantomu. Will throw out the hammer, but not find anybody this time around. Zed,
here he goes.
He'll go up into the sky. His target is going to be Picarino. Half his health on landing, almost the entire other half just from the auto after, and then the hammer teleports to make sure to get that kill. And now we can see the power that that Rune-Forged Arendite combo can bring.
Is Thor nasty? Is that what I'm seeing right now?
Maybe this is why they banned it from fails earlier on today. I mean, if it's going to be like this, yeah, ban this every game.
Yeah, he is dominating right now. The damage output incredibly high. Not often. You're going to have a 5-0 start at the 14-minute mark, right? You're only about a half level up, though. French Emperor has got 3-1-4, similar kill participation. 7 out of 9 for his squad, and is only sitting about half level down, has a similar build as well. Both of these guys going for Arendite in their build. I am concerned for the scaling of Thor going forward. French Emperor is going to have survivability baked into the kit thanks to the third ability, the ability to reflect and heal in some of these engagements. Hydra's Lament going to help out a lot with that burst as well. Whereas Thor, with this style of build, he's either dunking in, hitting multi-man targets, and immediately hitting pay dirt for his squad, or he misses the ultimate and loses out on the entirety of his value. Because, sure, you can use your wall and hammer to poke from a range, but dedicating your escape for damage up against a squad that has Jormungandr on it, who can close gap incredibly easily, or Nemesis, who could just slow you forever, is very dangerous. It really is an all-in style for this Thor.
Skills expending the Petrify to secure that purple buff and kind of push OGI away, but Ogie Bogies are not going to be stopped for now, at the very least. Fantomo will walk all the way up towards that tier 2 tower to make sure they can keep some vision. Him and Yakin all the way up here. But a nice wall from Fantomo will make sure that Yakin has an escape path. And it's going to be a very early Phantom Shell picked up by the support from Ogie Bogies, not wanting to deal with those Cabrakan walls.
Yeah, rightfully so, man. I mean, it's just a strong relic in general. Fantomu up to the air and found his target. Absolutely decimates those left side mid camps. No objectives to fight over on the left side of the map, which I was surprised to see him look for that aggressive play there. But potentially, Pyromancer going uncontested. Just French Emperor in range right now.
French Emperor is here, but their only real steal is going to be a slice and dice that comes right after, unless a bomb, potentially. No, Picarino will not get that one. So it will be Pyromancer going over to Ogie Bogies. And then a teleport in, a blink in, I should say, by Ogre going on a Picarino. And he's going to eat a lot of damage on this Agni. No relics were available to him to start the fight. The Jormungandr ultimate in with that World Serpent. Winnie the Pooh is in danger, stuck inside those Cabrakan walls. But maybe it's Calvin who's trapped in there with him as Ogie Bogie gets a kill in this one. Winnie the Pooh credit to it. And Nice Scarab's Blessing will make sure that they stay alive. Fantomu getting the credit for the kill on Ugly One. French Emperor on the wrong side of the map now, but dealing some nice damage back to the jungler.
3 for 0 trade, favoring the Bogies right now. Fantomu acting as zone, or potentially even just going to kill out French Emperor there. That's the bead. Slice and dice. Aegis out. All Fantomu has to do is maintain his own life while the rest of his team focuses the objective.
Ogre is here. Skills is here now. Petrify is up. Beads expended. Petrify does a lot of damage to Christopher, and that's going to be a nice kill for the Hunter. That will stop the potential Fire Giant right away, but a Duncan from Fantomu on the backside will give a nice delayed deicide potential here for this team. Christopher Robin, though, on cooldown or on respawn for 35 seconds. Means this Fire Giant is going to be put on the back burner.
I am legitimately astounded that Skills lived throughout that entire engagement. He walks up into 3 members at Fire Giant, gets abducted, late beads. I would say a full second of abduct was applied. But no shield toss down from Winnie the Pooh means that once he whiffed Chain Lightning, or even had he landed Chain Lightning, I don't think there's going to be much fight back from him afterward. You want to get those multiple procs so that your detonate is doing significant damage.
Ogre coming in from the backside with a teleport. Calvin already surrounded by 3, and it'll be a 4th one once Ogre gets here. Probably not even needed for this Ama, as Winnie the Pooh has the damage to take them down on this Zeus. But now, it's an Oni Fury up. Vision control from the Oracles is in favor of Zinedine, but it doesn't seem that anybody on that team wants to try and make a path in here to stop this objective. That one, along with the kill going to the side of Ogie Bogies, and they can keep pushing that gold lead up now. 5,000 gold they've been able to amass in a lead here in the last few minutes of play. Top that with almost 7,000 experience.
Yeah, 25 total kills in 18 minutes of play here. This has been a highly contentious map. Everywhere on the map looking for action. Even if there are no objectives up nearby, we're fighting over it regardless on either one of these sides. And so far, Ogie Bogie is getting the better end of the majority of it. I would like to see them go ahead and just group up and try and re-pull the Fire Giant. They've got a great team composition for it. You've got burn potential thanks to Amaterasu. Zeus as well is very phenomenal at taking out these objectives, as well as taking the team fight immediately afterward. You don't have to worry about vision too much so, because Fantomu can almost act as a global ward while he's up in the air for your team. But it is a slower style of play from the Ogie Bogies. 4-man grouping on the right-hand side. We finally see Christopher Robin work his way back to base, and that should tell us that Fire Giant's on the menu.
Ugly One's here, but gets spotted out, rooted inside of his own dash. He'll get some damage off, but not a whole lot with that World Serpent. He'll use the remainder of that one to escape from the 4-man squad of Ogie Bogies on this right side. Christopher went back to base, ends up picking up an Executioner right after that Wind Demon for a little bit of extra percent pen towards those oppositions that he hits with those autos. But a 706 on Fantomu. 147 on Calvin, on Yakin, I should say, has been dying quite a bit, but I really like this second item pickup that he has with that Wing Blade. French Emperor on this Nemesis typically wants to target some of those tanks. This makes it maybe not as fun of an option to deal with, given that slow immunity you get whenever you are slowed down.
Even Jormungandr are going to apply slow with the spit from a range, so going to get plenty of value from Wingblade Will Yakin. And Wingblade is just legitimately a good stat stick nowadays. Now that gives you magic defense as well. No longer is it just utility. So it's pretty easy to slot into the majority of your builds.
Calvin walks up, but it's about all he's going to be able to do here, as Ogre is now the bodyguard for the remainder of their team. Fire Giant being teased just a little bit by this team of Ogres. They're not willing to fully pull it just yet on this commit. There's no eyes on French Emperor except now when he's spotted on the mid lane wave, so they know that they still have at least the man advantage right away. But instead, they'll go ahead and pull themselves away from the Fire Giant and regroup for the side of ZINDINE, or maybe it's a call to go in. Calvin gets the Phantom out of Yakin by dropping down those walls. The World Serpent used. Christopher Robin's eating quite a bit of damage from it, but he'll have to use the last tick of that World Serpent to get himself out. Ugly One will be fine. Level 18 on the Shorm. Gone for a Soul Reaver third item.
Just wants to be able to finish off some of those kills. That was an expensive engagement for ZZ. Picarino uses up all of his bombs. Calvin and Ugly One use their ultimates as well, whereas on the other end, Ogi Bogies, it's generally just the Phantom Shell, maybe the beads from Phantomu as well expended. So the Order team not only playing with a lead, but also a relic advantage and an ultimate advantage for the next 30 or so seconds. You'd expect them to try and get involved very shortly.
Wall and Hammer against Calvin. Won't do a whole lot to this tanky Kabrakan. Opted for a Breastplate of Valor second. And ZINDINE steals away the Pyromancer. Some damage from Skills and Picarino there. Enough to steal that one away from Ogi Bogies. I feel bad for this team in blue here, losing out on an objective.
You know what? I don't feel bad for him at all. That is twice now where Skills just like walks up into a Fire Giant pit on his own and makes plays. Kind of wild. This Medusa is not exactly a safe pick, so you'd think every single ultimate's still available for Ogi Bogies. Maybe one of them could have been used to secure the objective or maybe chase out the fight, but instead it has been a complete reset back to neutral, and it's just Skills with his ultimate down now. ZZ playing at a deficit, pulling the fire.
Started up. Ugly One gets caught out trying to use his dash. Yakin, though, can't grab him through the wall. Ugly One goes up into the World Serpent. Yakin is the one in danger. The carries get stopped by the wall up into the skies. Phantomu doesn't find a target on landing, but to teleport in and make sure that Picarino pays the iron price here. But Ugly One now fighting against Winnie the Pooh, and this is not a fight that he is going to win. Detonate will deal the last bit of damage in. Ogre gets one onto Skills. Calvin falling low as Phantomu has never left this backside of the jungle. Won't be able to take out the support just yet. And a blink from Calvin will make sure that that hammer does not take him out.
Man, Ogi Bogies must have studied the art of war as French Emperor tries his best to finish off that kill. Scarab's Blessing was still available. Good slow from Christopher Robin. Nearly secures the kill on the French Emperor. But as I was saying, Ogi Bogies playing with a massive lead have somehow convinced ZZ that it was actually the Chaos team with the lead the entire time. ZZ falls for this insane ploy, this crazy war tactic, if you would, and just pull out the Fire Giant. Completely illusioned with the fact that they were not actually ahead, and then immediately get smashed against the rocks, essentially. Ogi Bogies, I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they tricked them. I don't know how they knew that ZZ was just going to pull the objective in front of them, but that's exactly what happens, and Ogi Bogies pick up Fire Giant for all 5 in a clean team fight.
Ogi Bogies hit them with the ultimate mind game now, but Primal Fury is up. That could be an easy objective for this Ogi Bogies team to take on the way towards taking out these towers. Still 4 left standing on the map here. 2 on the right side, and then the tier 2s in mid and dual lane still left standing. Could go for the Primal Fury now. It seems that at least Winnie the Pooh wants to, so he'll convince the rest of his team to grab this objective. While at least Phantom will start pushing up this left side wave. That way they can have some pressure over on this tower as they begin the siege. And Phantomu is concerned at least getting a couple of these offerings along the way. Just try and maximize on their siege potential.
Man, Phantomu is still undying, by the way.
That's
8
crazy.
7, 15 participated in kills of the 18 for his team. That global presence really making its way known. And now we can talk about the siege potential of the Ogi Bogies. It's pretty high. Zeus is pretty strong at it. Christopher Robin should shred this away. And ZZ slow on the uptake.
And they are shredding through this Phoenix. They won't take it out just yet. It'll be a World Serpent from Ugly One to zone them away for now. Going for a flank on this jungle path is French Emperor. Phantomu throws out the hammer. Doesn't get much value from that, at least. But French Emperor hasn't made their way into the fight just yet. Waiting for that opportunity to dive themselves in. Picarino getting some good bomb damage off towards the carries. It's Ogre at the front line trying to hold up for the siege over here on this left side. Winnie the Pooh does claim a kill against Ugly One. Phantomu in the back line misses the double tap of the hammer. But the damage is already done, Mifflin. Left side Phoenix is gone.
French Emperor still hovering exactly where he was at the beginning of this siege attempt. Or, well, attempt might not be the right word. Ogi Bogies hit pay dirt and removed the left side Phoenix. And French Emperor forced to retreat further into the jungle. Doesn't seem like the Ogi Bogies are too concerned with French Emperor just standing menacingly nearby. He's going to have to apply some damage if he wants to put some fear in the hearts of the OGI Bogies, because they're just going to continue pushing forward.
He really is just standing back there up in the sky again, or Phantomo waiting for his opportunity to come through. Will be a shot against Calvin. As Christopher Robin takes him down, and Ogre dives to the Titan to make sure to take out Pikarinu. French Emperor has finally joined the fray. Some good damage up against the carries, but not enough to concern them here, as it's just Phantomo boxing away auto for auto and a spin to win the fight right after. 4 down, only skills, and now Ugly just on respawn left to defend, but that Titan is as good as gone. OGI Bogies, the dominant game 1 here to start out the set.
You know, I watched the entire game, J-Mac. I was here the whole time. I talked about it.
I
was there. I couldn't tell you exactly what happened throughout the duration of that match, man. It was just constant action, action, action. It felt like individual, like, micro plays were the difference in this one. Specifically, I think the Thor deserves like an MVP award. I mean, it is wild to have a jungler go essentially undying and also have that level of kill participation throughout the entirety of the match. But I wouldn't argue that it was like team play. I wouldn't argue it was objectives or macro. This was just a bloodbath.
Well, we were questioning the Thor ban earlier today. Maybe after game 1, we potentially see a reason as to why it does need to be banned away here. Let's take a break and come back for game number 2. Hello and welcome back as we get ready to hop into game number 2 of our final set of the day. OGI BOGIES came out with a win in game number 1 up against ZINDINE ZIDANE. Kind of a back and forth early game, like those first 10 minutes. It was a roller coaster as far as the charts were concerned. We saw a fight on the right side go one team's way, and then the team that lost the fight would take an objective. That happened for the first little half of that game, but at the end of it, Mifflin, it is OGI BOGIES who come up with the win for game number 1.
Yeah, crazy that the OGI BOGIES decided to name their team after the soul lane there. Phantomu's going to be doing what Phantomu did in game 1. That was like Thor. It was just Thor the game.
I mean, do you have a good like name scheme that would go with Phantomu of any kind?
The Phantomu Phantoms.
I guess.
Their name's OGI BOGIES. How are you going to hit me with an I guess?
Nah, you know what? I was thinking something with just fan there, because they only took part of Ogabri's name. They only took the OGI portion of it.
Phantomu fans. Like, what do you want from me, bro?
I don't know, man. It's a weird one, but I think it is right to highlight that Phantomu kind of was the MVP of this game, undying there in game number 1 and making plays left and right. I mean, this first blood, 30 seconds in. In 30 seconds in, we get a first blood in the mid lane. It's been a while since we've seen that here in Season 9. That was very common in Season 8. Jungler would come in, pretty much people are dying, but to see it this early on, Winnie the Pooh coming out with some big damage numbers on this Zeus. But Phantomu, I think it's right to kind of really highlight to him. This is probably the coolest play of the game. Goes through, hits him with the hammer throw for the kill, teleports in, and the auto after. That's just sick play.
Yeah, and it looks like there, Picorino actually had dash available, gets like one frame of his dash off, left a path of flames behind him, and just died immediately afterward anyway. Just great stuff from Phantomu at every portion of this match. You know, here's a question for you, J-Mac.
Okay.
You think Thor gets banned?
You know what? After a performance like that, I think so. I mean, we saw it banned from Fails earlier on in the day.
And he didn't even play it.
Yeah, he didn't get a chance to show it off in game 1, and then it gets banned game 2. It was just banned away from him. Now that we've seen what Phantomu can do on this god, I gotta imagine that gets banned away, man.
Agreed.
No shot it makes it through.
Why would you feed the hot hand? That guy went undying and had like 95% kill participation. Let's just not let that happen again.
Cannot happen, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things like, man, we've got to use a ban against Thor, who's not really a meta god. But when you have a performance like that, there's no reason that a god should ever go back to that player.
Completely agree. But, you know, well, maybe you're forcing him into something better, right? Like you ban the Thor and then all of a sudden he's playing Bastet. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to play against Bastet.
Have an old bait and switch on them. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm really good at this guy. You should probably ban it. But, hey, I'm actually really good and probably even better at like 3 other ones that you should have banned instead.
No, I'm hoping that's not the case. If he's like way better and he's just kind of keeping like the Rock Lee weights on, that would be pretty tough for anyone lining up against him. But I think we're right to say that there is likely going to be some ban priority on Phantomu going forward.
Yeah, I mean, when you're the playmaker of the team in game number 1, setting up for the rest here, it really does kind of put that thought in the back of their minds here. Picks and bans, though, for game number 2. Let's see if that Thor does make its way out. And if it does make it through the picks and bans, or at least the first half of the bans, how early do we maybe see this Thor picked up?
Well, what did we see last time? Like first? Wasn't it first pick?
No, it was 5th pick. It was the last pick for their team.
Oh, so the opposite of what I said.
Yeah, complete opposite.
Very cool. Kleena banned out by ZZ and OGI. Gonna ban out the team on the other side. I'm gonna do your job now. That's what I'm doing. AMC banned. I'm gonna beat you to all of them.
AMC does get banned away, and on there, Izanami taken away this time around, taking some pressure out of that dual lane, specifically OGI BOGIES here on the 2nd pick at least. So they won't be able to first pick Thor. They can take it as a 2nd or 3rd technically here, but
why would they? They got a 5th last time.
I mean, they did get a 5th, but there's no shot that it makes it all the way through the 2nd round if it doesn't get picked up again this time.
You know, you might be right, or maybe it does. Who's to say? Bastet banned out though. You know that's what we were worried about. If they banned the Thor, he would have taken Bastet. So they're playing 4D chess over on ZZ.
Fenrir, the first pick for the side of ZINDINE ZIDANE, gonna make sure to get some pressure, whether it be in the jungle or whether it be in the support role. This is still the Fenrir that we know and love right now. Hasn't had the changes to his AO4 just yet. That Ragnarok doesn't have all of the changes that have been going through, the duration nerf that's going to be coming in the bonus patch, the protection nerf that's also going to be coming alongside that one. Still going to see that big bruiser dog.
No, yeah, Fenrir, very versatile. Could go into the jungle, could go into support, could even go into the soul lane. He's that strong on the current patch being played, so I think take him in the first pick slot, just going to make sure that the other team is continually guessing on where exactly your draft is. The Nemesis lock-in, going to put a little bit more clarity on your draft, that is very likely headed into the jungle, which means that Fenrir is very likely headed into support. I would say like 70-30 odds support versus Soul Lane for that pick.
Medusa Amaterasu on the side of OGI Bogies. One more pick here. Is it going to be the Thor? It is not. It's going to be the Olorun that got banned away in the second phase last time in game number 1. And it seems this European region is really the only one that's showing any kind of favoritism towards Olorun. The NA teams haven't really cared about this god in a while. We didn't really see any heavy priority in the SPL qualification stages a couple weeks back. Today's really the only time that we're seeing teams really put some emphasis on this god, Mifflin.
Magical hunters in general seem to have been kind of forgotten about, right? Now that we've got these new glyphs, the Deathbringer glyph and Venom Deathbringer, just so incredibly strong. Some of these hunter changes to physical damage items as well, have really shifted the meta away from the Freyas, the Oloruns, the Souls, and instead we're looking at more standard hunters in the long lane, which is why I was surprised to see the Olorun locked in. I don't think the majority of those magical items that made Mage ADCs strong have been changed too much. If anything, you've got a couple more options available to you. The Nimble Rod comes to mind, so if we see, or I guess when we do get to see the SPL, I'm expecting Barracuda to break out that soul. He was the only like hunter player that was going for a semi-hybrid build. Now hybrid builds are just strong, right? Nimble Rod transitioning your power into attack speed, so you could just go full damage and then slap a Nimble Rod on the end there, and you're probably sitting at like 1.85% attack speed. I'm not going to argue against it.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, teams or players on those magical hunters were slamming, what, like 4 rings and a lifesteal item. Now you can kind of slot one of those rings out and maybe get just a little bit more benefit there. Will be Cabrakan and Giannis alongside the Apollo from ZINDINE for their final selections. And after that, Olorun Fafnir locked in for the support role. God, we don't see too often there. But it will be the Thor. It doesn't get banned away. Instead, that was Umoja Kepri and then Jormungandr Thoth as well. So Thor making it through for a second game. Had a pretty good performance in game number 1. Do you think up against the squad that ZINDINE is drafted right now, though, do you imagine the Thor is going to have similar performance levels?
He's got some targets that he could pretty easily close gap onto. If you catch Giannis without his beads, you can lock him down pretty easily. Thor's got a decent matchup there. Cabrakan as well can't channel Tremors when he's around. So I think Thor has similar levels of potential, but it's something I talked about for a moment during game 1. How often is your Thor going to be off to like a 5-0 start at the 6-minute mark?
Well, let's
Not
hope.
super often.
Yeah, let's hope it's not going to be happening again here in game number 2 as we jump right in. But now with this Cabrakan locked in with the Fenrir, kind of leaves the question, is this Cabrakan solo? And the answer to that one is yes. So yet another Guardian solo, but not going for the Chronos Pendant Rush this time around. Instead, it will be a helmet with a Vampiric Shroud out of Ugly One on the Cabrakan. Vamp Shroud, we've been seeing a little bit more now in these Guardian solos now that the Warriors Axe has kind of fallen out of favor. It seems when we do see these Guardians go over, I guess, aside from the Yorm, it has been this Vamp Shroud starter.
Great survivability, phenomenal upgrade path as well. You're not really sacrificing too much damage early on. I mean, Vampiric Shroud, very strong for that. I think it's just fine. I'm curious to see what the level priority order is for Ugly One and Ogabri on the other end as well. We could see him still pick up Tremors at level 1 just to clear out this blue buff as quickly as possible, but he's going to sacrifice a lot in his ability to clear if Ogabri plays around it and gets her dash at level 1. So keep your eyes on the Soul Lane. I think that's the only time we're going to be keeping our eyes on the Soul Lane is like level 1 to 2, because otherwise, Cabrakan versus Amaterasu, just not a whole lot of kill potential there.
It is going to be the mirror instead for Ogabri. So Ugly One is going to have some of that wave clear advantage with the Tremors as their first ability picked up. So it's not going to be fun standing inside the wave, to say the very least, for Ogabri. That's not where you want to typically be anyways. It's dual lane aggression already, and the Frenzy popped by both supports to try and get some of this early pressure through. But once again, we're seeing some very early starts out here from Phantomu, putting a lot of damage over onto French Emperor.
Yeah, but it had more returned onto him. Phantomu dropped down to below half HP. We do see the dual lane both use their belts there. Generally, when belt is popped in the dual lane on first wave, it's to establish lane pressure, just to clear out those minions as quick as possible. These guys are just fighting.
That's what we've been seeing a lot of here in this EU SCC, has been a lot of this dual lane aggression and just a lot of dual lane fighting in general. It's kind of been just the name of the game for this SCC qualifying stage in these couple of days so far. But so far in this one, isn't going to get them any kills just yet. Pressure very similar across the board. But going over to this Giannis, we saw it teased at a couple of times a couple weeks ago. Didn't really see much come out of here, but we are going to see it here in game number 2.
Yeah, Yanez is a pick that acts as an assassin, essentially. Phantomu, no dash available to him. Just going to be stuck here in the fight. Portal no good, though. Picarino should be the first one to fall.
In danger and will go down. Winnie the Pooh credited to the kill, but should be falling here to the slice and dice out of French Emperor. Another one-for-one trade out here in the mid lane. Phantom with no mana has to retreat back to the tier 1 tower. But another early rotation from these supports. This is the second set that we've now seen these supports rotating over at level 2.
Yeah, they love getting involved in the middle of the map. If they could have, I'm sure they would have queued into the assault map so everybody could have just played at the exact same time in the 5-on-5 engagement. I am curious to see Phantomu walking up to wave, completely throwing hammer at it on tower line. It's just a super dangerous play. Picarino was not able to land his portal, though, so he sacrifices his own life. Phantomu survives, but it sacrifices Winnie the Pooh on the other end, and we're already sitting at 2 kills at the 2-minute mark. We could be looking at a very similar pace to Game 1.
He's going to be a blue buff steal. Ugly One will get that, but Calvin may be paying his life for it. Instead, Ogabri gets the credit for the kill there to put Ogi Bogies with their second kill now on the board. And this aggression coming out of ZINDINE is starting to bite them.
That's the support in the solo lane that just died.
Yeah, I hate it.
At the 2.5-minute mark. Just wasn't expecting that. I got lost for a second there. I thought maybe it was Fenrir in the solo because we just haven't seen him over in the long lane in so long, but no. It is a ZZ squad on tour right now, and it's costing them slightly. They're not farming up very well on the map at this point. Goal differential, not wild. Experience maybe a little bit more important at this point, but that should be cut down relatively quickly. And despite Jockin not really matching the rotations of Calvin, Jockin actually clearing waves, he's not that far ahead, maybe like a quarter, a half a level at best.
I've been splitting a lot of these waves here with Winnie the Pooh in the mid lane. Does have tier 2 on that mace now, so we'll see which of the options it goes towards. Crusher has been the very common item for a lot of these hunters, no matter which role you put them in. Maybe we see something changed up here. We'll have to hold that for now. Winnie the Pooh gets dove under the towers. Some good damage back with the Petrify, but not enough.
Thor.
Phantomu is in the air. Will they dunk down into the middle of the lane? It seems that they will not, especially with how low in mana he was just going up in the sky.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh is going to be struggling up against Calvin. They don't really have any answers to the Brutalize. Is my Petrify up? If no, I get Brutalized. If yes, I probably still get Brutalized because it takes a long time to channel. So Medusa going to have to play very safe in this lane. Despite Calvin being so low level, the damage output, just the base stats on that third ability, is enough to generate the threat to force the Winnie the Pooh into these defensive just usages of the ultimate. And taking a peek at the level priority, it's actually Seething Howl that he's maxing out first, which means that he's going to be getting all of his abilities, getting additional damage. Just that extra bit of power going to help out with that scaling.
Just at level 2, you saw his 35 additional physical power to his
like
name.
A whole item.
Just for popping through. And like I said, he doesn't need to have an item. He doesn't have a damage item yet, so that's just 35 raw power that this Fenrir is getting to his name here in the support role. So he'll pick up another kill in that mid lane. As you said, Winnie going to be struggling a little bit here, and will be picking up that Crusher for the first time. I was wondering maybe if we'd get a mix-up here and see maybe the Jotun's Wrath into like Jotun's Ferocity or something like that. But nope, going to be sticking with the standard so far.
Yeah, just needs to win the DPS battle up against Calvin if he wants to survive some of these fights. Calvin holding on to his ultimate, baits out the beads from Christopher Robin.
Christopher Robin should be dead here in this 2v1. Able to heal up a lot of the damage necessary for now, but there's still a 2v1 match, and Christopher is not going to win that one, especially with beads and ult down. That's going to be a third kill up now for ZINDINE, and maybe a fourth if they can find something against Jockin here, but Calvin's pretty low in mana, and Picarino not really anywhere close by in the vicinity to try and capitalize.
Clean play from Calvin there. Just goes into the Ragnarok and stands nearby. Says, hey, don't be afraid. If you do get scared and use your beads, you just died. Christopher Robin fails that knowledge check and immediately loses his life and his ultimate. Sanctified Fields on an incredibly long cooldown. Beads for another 2 minutes as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see Calvin just set up a camp in the duo lane and say, hey, don't step up or face certain doom, Olarun.
It's a similar fate for Christopher Robin here, kind of the Winnie the Pooh has. No real way to kind of peel this Fenrir off of him. I mean, the pushback from his heal isn't going to take Brutalize away from him. It's not really going to do a whole lot to save his life here. So struggles in both of the carry spots here. Ugly One rotating in from solo lane. Once he gets something going in mid, we'll find Jockin. A lot of damage through the dunk down from Skills. And the damage from Picarino will take him out.
Yikes.
Phantomu dunks in, but doesn't find anybody with that dunk. It'll just be inside that red buff camp. A 4th kill up now for ZINDINE.
Probably for the best that Phantomu doesn't land that ultimate. It would have been a 1 versus 4 had he been able to find that success. There's no way for Medusa to go through walls, so it's legitimately would have taken like 5-6 seconds for her to rotate in, and ZZ going to make great usage of that pick and a go towards the neutral objective. A very early Gold Fury this time around, and the gold experience now all favoring the Order side team. And just great usage as well. Picarino using the portal to make sure that Ugly One's able to close gap and find that wall onto Jockin. The CC chain skills, dunking for the knockup. Calvin with the stun, Ugly One with his stuns as well. So hard for the Ogi Bogies to play if they're getting isolated into these 2v1s or 3v1s, or in that case, a 4v1.
I just got to point out that Ugly One made that rotation just walking there. There's no teleport up for this solo laner, so he didn't teleport to a ward or the tier 1 tower in mid to go over to that fight. He just walked over there and did that while Ogre stayed in solo lane that whole time, just trying to soak up some farm instead.
And, well, they didn't really do a whole lot for Ogre, did it? I mean, there's both sitting at level 9 right now. Shogun's Kasari finished up, so Ogre going to be able to make his way into some of these team fights and see if he can make his presence known. This is twice now that he's gone for the Shoguns in that first slot. Generally going to lose out on a lot of your ability to get involved early on because you're not getting that Berserker shield or that additional damage. You are still getting some of that attack speed thanks to Shogun Kusari's passive, so some value there. A lot of survivability as well, but I feel like Amaterasu in the current patch is such a strong lane bully that you would benefit so much more from just having all that damage output that Berserker shields afford you.
Just feels like this team has set themselves up to be objective shredding more than anything else. I mean, you have the Shogun's Kasari with Ogre, you've got the Coerce and Dragon form with Yakin that can also boost up these 2 carries that they have, Frenzy already. God forbid this team gets left alone for 10 seconds near an objective, it's going to be gone. The problem is so far they haven't had that opportunity to try and get to one of those objectives.
Yeah, ZZ removed it by killing the objective themselves, and there are no slouches when it comes to DPS on these neutrals. Calvin, despite not going for any damage items with Seething Howl getting maxed out, it's going to do pretty decent auto attack damage. French Emperor shreds them away, as will skills.
Christopher trying to take a 1v1 and going about even in the trade at the very least against skills. But Christopher does have a very small heal that he'll be able to pop for himself. Has also gone towards Celestial Legion Helm, a very popular pick for not just these solo lane Guardians, but also for the mages in general. A lot of power that you get from there, and the extra protections are nice as well. So it seems to just be the popular pick if you want a little bit of, or I shouldn't even say a little bit of power, if you want a lot of power, but also a little bit of defense to boot.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we do see Christopher Robin go for the Nimble Rod Star. It's a phenomenal ultimate from Picarino, clips too.
Winnie the Pooh back in the tower yet again. The ultimate into the beads to get away from the Ragnarok. Duncan from Phantomu, a Duncan from Jockin, and a kill by Winnie the Pooh. Finally gets his revenge up against Calvin this time. An Ugly One with those tremors are locking Jockin in place. He needs one more hit to take him out, but he misses the stun right after. Has to go in for the immediate damage right after. So they will trade out another, but Ogre gets to the back line and finds Picarino, but trades out his life for French Emperor. But watch out, because Skills is coming up from the sky, trying to find Phantomu. Dashed in and used the beads to get out of that sanctified field, but now he's in a 2v1. Hammer just off the mark by Phantomu. Christopher is trying to go for this boxing match and will win it out.
Yeah, surely Skills didn't need to dunk there. I mean, they had already won the team fight so handily, but now Ogi Bogie's able to claw back a little bit of that lead, and we're looking at, what, about 1,000 gold separating these two squads. Experience dead even across the board, and yet again, another huge team fight that starts up for just about nothing. I mean, had the fight gone a little bit cleaner for ZZ, maybe we'd be talking about a Pyromancer right now, but an overcommitment from Ugly One chasing out into the back line. French Emperor double dashes into tier 1 tower twice throughout the duration of that team fight as well, really slowing down the aggression for ZZ and allowing Ogi Bogies start working their way towards some of these rotations. And then, well, just an unfortunate fall for Skills.
So far for ZINDINE here, their XP wins are coming in the jungle, level 13 to 11 for the French Emperor. And then level 9 versus level 7, Calvin is getting the better end of the XP earlier on, 1, 2, and 2 versus the 0, 2, 1 on the side of Jockin. Both of them going for similar starts up at the very least here. Gauntlet of Thieves for both the supports. But one going in towards the male tree, the other one going in towards the breastplate tree here. Calvin maybe looking for a very early breastplate of valor.
Yeah, Calvin also got a pretty good engagement in that fight. Forces out the beads and ultimate from Winnie the Pooh, but was not able to be optimized on just yet. Medusa still no beads for an entire minute, means that we could see Calvin try and do that exact same thing, and that's why he's going towards this CDR, and the Breastplate of Valor wants to have that ultimate available to burn away these defensive relics.
Phantomu in the sky, but where will the target be? The answer is nowhere, as everybody from ZINDINE had already backed away from the fight. They don't want anything to do with this Thor. They saw what it was capable of last time around. And don't get me wrong, Phantomu is at an 0-0-4 start, not quite the 5-0 that he had last time. It will be a red buff invade, though, by French Emperor Calvin. And in the sky is Skills, but he dives in the backline.
What?
Sanctified Field will force 2 people away. Ragnarok out of Calvin expended. And he'll use that portal as an extra escape path, but there's through space and time. And now he'll make sure to get the rest of the team out. But Skills is stuck on the wrong side of the fight and the wrong side of the jungle. It's Christopher Robin who picks up the kill.
If I'm team captain on ZZ, I'm telling Skills to stop dunking the red buff. That's twice now. He sacrifices his own life. Ugly One now in some trouble. Dazzling Offensive going to apply that stun, and Christopher Robin, a double kill for this Oleron. This was a pretty large lead that Skills had in the long lane just a moment ago. It was 2 levels up on Oleron before the initial dunk on red buff. Oleron's able to close up that gap there. Second dunk puts him handsomely in the lead, about a level and a half, just as the Primal Fury spawns up. That goes over to the OGI Bogies. And, well, this game was firmly in control of ZZ, what, 2 minutes ago? Now we're back to dead even.
Even state of play so far. Picarino really the only one with steal potential at that Gold Fury, but he gets zoned away right away. French Emperor has to sit back and watch as it goes down. Still a slight lead for him, at least in this jungle spot now. Only 1 level separating the 2 of them. And it will be that Erendite third this time around. Game number 1, it was Erendite second, followed by the Hydra's Lament. The French Emperor is going to swap it around here in game 2.
Yeah, this one's going to help him out chasing some of these kills as Calvin walks up to Phantomu and Jockin on his own. Loses out on half of his HP. Looking at the current state of the map, there's not a whole lot to fight over. Pyromancer could be a target of aggression for either one of these squads, preferably ZZ. Fighting on the right side of the map going to favor the Order team more because the global presence that Skills has. Just going to be able to out-rotate Christopher Robin pretty consistently on the map. So I would like to see the Order team group up and force a fight on the right-hand side. Pyromancer pulled out. Ogre nearby.
Ogre is here. Calvin will pick up Ogre. He will beads out of it right away. ZINDINE does get the Pyromancer, though. It did cost them a bit there. Calvin and Picarino's ultimate. They also got Phantomu and Winnie the Pooh's in the process during there. So 2 for 2 ult trade out. Getting the beads out of Ogre may be the biggest win that ZINDINE could have gotten.
That and the objective for them as well, kind of getting that lead again back in their favor, if only slightly. Nothing left to fight over on the map, so expect the game pace to slow down at least a little bit, is what I would say. But these guys have been fighting a lot non-stop, and it doesn't seem like that's going to change anytime soon. Jockin trying to step up and steal away some of those scrolls.
Skills, don't go on the red buff this time. Won't be red. It'll be on top of Jockin's head right before the red buff, but as soon as he lands down, the folly of Fafnir is you land down and you can take a lot of damage. He'll live for the time being, but that time won't be much longer. As French Emperor closes out the deal with the help of Calvin's walls. Ogre on the backside of the fight, trying to find a path in, but will be met by the entirety of ZINDINE. A clean kill coming out there for ZINDINE.
That is a lot of expended abilities, though, for ZZ. Only ultimate still available is Picarino's, and the blink was used by Cabrakan as well, so the chase down potential going to take a hit, but going for these high commitment kills when there's nothing on the map to fight over is just fine because you're not losing resources that could cost you in the long run. We're still a couple of moments away from Gold Fury respawning, a couple of minutes away from Pyromancer as well, so I like that call from ZZ to go ahead and commit fully to chase out at least one.
Christopher Robin may be in danger if Calvin wants to commit to a fight here with Skills, but with no ultimate on Skills, no ult on Calvin, maybe a little bit risky to try and dive this Oleron. Maybe just try and force an ultimate or a set of beads out. Winnie the Pooh has been in this situation quite a few times here where he's stared at by a couple of members in mid lane, but we'll make it out here. Christopher Robin does end up expending both beads and ult to stop this 2v1 fight and is actually winning this fight up against Skills specifically. 2v1. Christopher Robin turns it around. Maybe they can pick up a second one, but Calvin has to retreat. The orbs flying down are dealing some hefty damage against this support.
Yeah, Spear of the Magus plus Telkine's Ring with a Sanctified Field on 2 inside of your own tower. Not the worst feeling on the planet. Calvin tries again and does not like his damage trade there. Uses the Unchained to go ahead and escape that fight. And look at that, man. Christopher Robin only has to use the beats to maintain his life. Even had he been under a little bit more threat in that engagement, he still had Aegis to fall back on. Just poor allocation of aggression from ZZ there cost them their ADC's life, who was only continuing to fall further and further behind.
And they used that ultimate to speed himself up to get around the support, so he could have that 1v1 matchup against Skills there. And we could see that he can just ignore the damage from Calvin for the most part. The healing that he's had so far has been great. Phantomu not in a great spot, though. He'll have to wall and hammer away to get out of French Emperor and Pikarinu's damage. But Christopher Robin, who had a bit of a struggle earlier on, Calvin's kind of been bullying him and Winnie the Pooh more than anybody else, I should say. But really been being a big bully over to Christopher Robin. But now the damage is starting to get online for this Ola run. And an ultimate forced out of Skills. That was 3/4 of his health with basically just auto attacks.
Yeah, I wonder what he was ulting for. Maybe he wanted to get involved in that fight. It wasn't to run away from Christopher Robin. Had he just walked, he would have escaped without losing out on all of his HP. Gotta think that ZZ liked their odds in a collapse against OGI Bogies, and then Skill loses like 80% of his HP, and he's like, yo guys, let's actually not do that. It's not a really great opportunity for me right now. But in losing that ultimate, loses his ability to rotate over towards some of these fights or finish off some of these kills, and that's pretty massive considering Gold Fury spawning up just now.
Yeah, coming up, OGI Bogies also has the vision control with the Oracle Harpies there. So they're going to know if ZINDINE wants to try and get a kill here, wants to try and get an objective. Calvin, again, going in aggressively up against OGI Bogies. He'll pick up Christopher, but a great wall out of the jungler will make sure that Calvin has nowhere to go and will pay for his sins. Ugly One tries to get the ultimate off, but he gets stunned out initially, killed on the tail end of it. And that's another 2 ultimates down to kill 2 players on the side of ZINDINE. OGI Bogies with a massive fight and an objective to boot.
Yeah, Calvin does pick up Christopher Robin. He found the Ola run. He got him. And even had he dragged him, had that wall not been there, there was nobody in range to follow up from ZZ. So that's an easy turnaround kill. Christopher Robin dropping the Sanctified Field the second he falls out of Ragnarok's mouth and catches Ugly One nearly on accident. They had 0 vision on the Cabrakan over the wall, and Ugly One gotta be upset with how that one goes down. Was not allowed to play the game, immediately gets shredded away, and the objective goes to the Chaos team. The Tier 1 tower goes to the Chaos team. The Greater Scorpion goes to the Chaos team, and they're on tour, man. Why stop? Pyromancer, Fire Giant, I don't think there's much that ZZ can do.
I mean, when you look at the comp they have, they can take both of them if they really want to. Maybe even an extra life here. French Emperor will get hit by that damage from Petrify. Ogibri wants to finish off this kill. Will use the Dazzling Offensive to make sure it is done.
What happened?
And the rest of the team has made their way to the Fire Giant. A split push, though, by the Hunter. Skills does have ultimate. Can come to this fight if necessary. It seems that they will begin making their way over. Fire Giant still being gone here by Ogibris. They haven't given it up yet. OGI Bogies still trying to secure that objective, maybe trying to secure the kill on the Ugly One. Skills comes in, and he might just be able to steal this Fire Giant away by himself.
Oh, no!
But he walks through the most unfortunate portal out of Picarino, and the Fire Giant goes to the OGI Bogies. And unfortunately for Skills, he's not going to get the kill that he was hoping for, because now the tanks have collapsed in. Phantomu lives, the FG goes to OGI Bogies, and you just gotta feel bad for Skills.
When it rains, it pours for ZZ. One unfortunate fight around the Gold Fury cost you just about every objective on the left side of the map, as well as the right. A portal just slightly out of position forces Skills away from going for the coin toss on the Fire Giant. And now OGI Bogies, who had fallen behind mightily at the beginning of this game, I think it was like a 5-1 start just about for ZZ, have completely turned around this match. The gold, the experience, but more importantly, Fire Giant on all 5 members with plenty of towers left on the map to go ahead and clear out. No neutral objectives for them to concern themselves with either. ZZ is going to have to put up a defense, and they don't exactly have a composition for it, J-Mac. You've got a non-standard mage. You've got non-standard supports as well. Going to be pretty hard for them to line up against the 5-man core, especially if your mage is already dead.
Phantomu a little bit early on the trigger there, but guessed that he was going to go through the portal, misses the stun, and then Picarino still walked through the portal, I guess thinking maybe the Thor was going to dunk on his position at that time. But Phantomu goes across over the wall, catches him right after, and takes him out.
It'd be like that.
That's just the ultimate pain right there. It's like you thought you had the perfect outplay, and you did, but then you take one step a little too far forward and accidentally go through the portal right after.
And now the left side Phoenix will fall down just like Picarino did 20 seconds ago in the middle of the map. And OGI Bogies, they might just go ahead and end for the end.
Potentially can here. Skills low. The walls will save him for now, but Ogibri is here to make sure that the job is done. Winnie the Pooh gets a kill on a Calvin, making a double kill for with an ugly one there. And French Emperor will be the last one standing before the Titan falls down. OGI Bogies, who were behind for like the first 15 minutes of the game, turn this one on its head instantly.
Just some misplaced aggression from ZZ costing this game, man. That is tough. A lot of just poor circumstances, just unlucky. Not often will I allow people to say, hey, that was unlucky. We lost due to luck. I mean, ZZ got unlucky.
I mean, the walk through the portal at the Fire Giant where he was an auto away. He was an auto away from stealing that one. He ends up going through the portal and misses out on it. It will be a win here for the OGI Bogies. Congrats to them. We'll take a break, and we'll come back to the desk to close out the day. Hello and welcome back to the SCC qualification day. It's day number 2, game number 2 of set number 3 here. And it'll be our last That was our last game of the day, I should say here. OGI Bogies, I don't know where I was going with that whole little spiel there.
We're cruising.
But we're at the end of the day here. OGI Bogies come out with a big win behind for pretty much the entirety of Game 1 up until the last, 6 minutes. And then one fight at the Gold Fury turns everything around. OGI Bogies able to tail, I think, 4 people in the midst of that fight. They get a Fire Giant after that was the ultimate coin toss, and one unfortunate portal may have been the reason that that game goes south.
Yeah, it was wild how quickly that game turned around, man. It really felt like ZZ had a firm grasp. They were getting the better end of the majority of these trades. They were being aggressive on the map, choosing engagements around the objectives that they wanted. And then they lose one fight on gold, and it's a complete sweep from left to right across the map. The OGI Bogies clean out everything, find additional picks. It just felt like ZZ was knocked off balance and just could not find their footing immediately afterward. But that's not to say that there weren't impressive individual performances from some of these guys. Calvin in particular, I would argue, has a great performance on this Fenrir. French Emperor got involved very early on. But on the other end, the OGI Bogies, got to give credit where it's due. They're the winners for good reason here. Team play, and Christopher Robin specifically has a phenomenal individual performance. Was this the 2v1?
Yeah,
it just happens.
This was a phenomenal 2v1 by Christopher Robin. You can see that Sanctified Field is giving him that extra boost to make sure he can stay in front of Calvin the entire time. So he can not only take, but win the boxing match up against Skills. Great play by this Hunter, and really both of these carries kind of struggled early on into the game. See, look at that. He actually baited Picarino to going through the wall. That is just the most unfortunate and unlucky timing there for Picarino. I guess maybe he thought the dunk was coming to him on that side of the wall and he was going to get the outplay, but either way, he was off on the timing.
I wonder what it is, because there is some slight travel time on going through a wall as Yanis, depending on how large the portal is.
Would have been very close.
Yeah, what if he just went through the exact same time Thor clicked, and it's just unfortunate timing. It looks a little bit worse than it was because Thor landed first, but hard to say. At the end of the day, got to give credit to the Thor, though. Nice dunk.
It's good dunk and some good Thor play, kind of giving us a reason as to why we may be seeing some potential Thor bans as the weekend continues to go through. We do have the schedule in the bracket ready for you guys, so you can take a look at what we have for the rest of this week. That way you guys can see how the brackets are still going to continue panning out. And this isn't just this week. We've also got next week where we'll still see more of these teams. But most importantly, we've still got tomorrow where we open up with Beltslap versus Monoteistas. I think I said that one correctly. Joust O'Clock and Thunderhead, Winter Frogs, 5Ls, and Late to Scrims versus Peace and Love. Some of these names very relatable. Late to Scrims maybe for some of the SPL players. I know that we hear that kind of stuff all the time out of them. Beltslap, a returning team here. Thunderhead as well, a big returner just name-wise alone. I think even Winter Frogs have a lot of name power that's going to be coming from there. So should be some great sets tomorrow, as well as the sets that we had today. Team Bisco and Just F6 will face off later on during this tournament. And Team Copyright and OGI Bogies now with their win remain on the winner side of the bracket.
And if you guys are excited to watch some of the North American qualifiers as well, we'll be back to those on Sunday. Got some pretty exciting matchups there, right? We got Sturdy Artisans up against that very dominant squad. Oh, why is that? Oh, I'm blanking on the name. J-Mac, help me out. Who are they playing? Show the thing.
We are going to get the bracket here. We won't see it just yet. We have Samsara, later Slater, Fun Havers in the Neighborhood. I think that was actually a rematch from what we saw during the SPL qualifiers for these two teams. Lean Into It and HOTM and My Fault B, yeah, I had that right, and Stops Time will be facing off. Those will be on Sunday. Make sure to tune in 11 a.m. on both of those days, tomorrow and Sunday, so that way you can see all the action there. Hopefully we got the bracket available to you guys too. We do.
Leoncitos. I knew it.
There's the one there. Against Sturdy Artisans, and then Vamps and Great Gentlemen will be squaring off as well. Winner of those two sets specifically will qualify into the SCC. Loser drops down to the loser's bracket. They got to make the whole run. You know the whole spiel there, how many extra games they're going to have to play, specifically 3 more sets if they lose in order to qualify themselves.
As opposed to 1.
As opposed to just winning the 1.
Which would be better.
Which would be way better.
According to you.
Yes. Winning 1 is better than losing and then having to win 2 or 3 more.
But you get to play more Smite if you lose.
You do get to play more Smite, which is a great thing to do.
That's true.
So maybe it's a win-win.
Yeah. But one bracket is called the loser's bracket.
True, and you don't want to be in the loser's bracket. You want to be in the winner's bracket.
Unless you want to play more Smite.
I mean, you get to play more Smite either way. You just get to play it in the SCC versus potentially the SOC if you end up losing in the loser's bracket. So, wanted to have a little bit of a more nice caveat there. But we do have something interesting available for you guys to see. I'm being told by production that we have something to pop up there. Who's that caster? Who is that caster? I don't know.
Looks like Hurrywind from Head Shape. Got Hurrywind here. You got some Hurry vibes.
Some Hurrywind vibes.
Yeah.
Is Hurrywind a caster?
I don't know. Who's that caster?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out as the weekend comes through. Hopefully we'll find something out on
That
who
is a
that caster
super
is.
Hurrywind head. Am I wrong? Are you not seeing that?
You're not entirely wrong. I will admit you're not entirely
So
wrong.
it does look like Hurrywind. We can agree.
You know what? I can agree with you here, Mifflin. I can agree that it might
cool.
it might be Hurrywind. It might not be.
Could be Vedium. Ooh, that's a callback.
That would be
from like the hair
that
shape.
That would be a massive throwback if that one
Yeah.
was Vedium. That'd be crazy.
Vicium.
But yeah, was it Vedium or Vicium? I don't remember which one he actually clarified that it was supposed to be.
I teamed with that guy, and he would change it daily.
It'd just be whatever the day
Whatever
of the week
he felt
was.
like.
Just whatever it was that day is how it was there. But thank you all for tuning in for day 2 of the SCC qualifiers. We still got 2 more days this weekend to go to see all these winners bracket teams. But make sure you guys tune in tomorrow, 11 a.m. here on twitch.tv/SmiteGame to continue seeing all that action on behalf of everybody here on the desk, production, behind the scenes. Thank you for tuning in. See you tomorrow.